Hey, good morning, Eastern Oregon, and welcome to this April 2nd version of AM Live on EOA, your connection to Eastern Oregon. We're glad that you're here with us this morning. If you want to find our content, go to EOA.network. EOA.network takes you to our link tree where you can find the locations of all of the places where our content is distributed live like this, and then also where it lands in archive form afterwards. Glad you're here with us. Here in just a little bit, we are going to have LGSD Superintendent George Mendoza will be with us. So, hey, how are you, man?
Good morning. First Friday.
First Friday. The sun is shining a little bit, but
I'm okay with that. No, I got a new hat that I'm excited about, and I get a lot of new hats. Like I have a lot of hats, and people bring me hats all the time.
Yeah.
But this one's special because this is a remake of the hat from when I was in school.
Original.
Not well, I wouldn't say original, but like from the era, my era. I have a hat from my era, but it's too small for me. Shireman gave it to me. And Ryan Chachis' baseball team this year is wearing these hats. And so he got me the size that fits me and brought it by on Monday. I was pretty stoked about it.
Yeah.
You
with a normal size hat would kind of look like a
it wouldn't fit very well.
It
wouldn't fit. That's why I don't wear 3/4 of the hats that people bring me, is because they're like made for pin-headed people.
Pinheaded.
Yeah. It's just a little teeny hat.
Or non-fat heads, depending on how you look at it. Right?
Well, there's a lot of brain in there. You gotta have
some room for it. Yeah. Well,
indeed. Wait, didn't they go to the moon yesterday?
They were on their way to the moon.
When do they touch down?
They're not touching down. They're just flying around it.
What's the point then?
The point is they haven't done it in 50 years.
They haven't been anywhere near it?
No, not since the last. I mean, they've sent, I think they've sent some. I mean, this Artemis has done flights, but this is the first manned flight.
Huh.
And, yeah.
Well, if I was going up there, which I never would, I would want to get out. You know what I mean? Like, what's the point of going up? That'd be like going to somewhere really cool, the pyramids, and just flying around them.
Well, I think that's kind of the point. I mean, I think this is practice. I know this is a practice for future things. But it's crazy because that particular spacecraft, the amount of power that it takes to get to the moon versus like to do what the other spacecraft. I mean, to get into lower or even higher atmosphere, the ability to get clear out of the Earth's gravitational pull takes a tremendous amount of power. That spacecraft, the thing, it's a football field length. Yeah, it's just crazy. Yeah,
300 feet.
Yeah. So. Anyhow, it's kind of exciting.
Interesting.
Yep. I love space. It'd be so fun to be down there and watch one of those launches.
I've watched a couple YouTube videos of a guy that takes pictures of them.
Yeah.
And can you imagine what kind of lens you got to have for that? Because you can't be anywhere near those.
Well, it's funny.
It's hot.
Right. I was watching a video yesterday of. It was an airplane or an airline, and they were in the vicinity enough that they could see it. I mean, it was a long ways away, of course, and the guy is recording it as it goes out and goes past it. I mean, they look like they were 50 miles away, but it's still very, very.
This guy has some super lens because he's like way far away, and he's getting like pictures of the vapor.
Yeah,
like you can see the vapor.
No, there's a whole crowd of people that's all they do is just record launches.
Oh yeah.
So.
Yep.
Well, hey, you want to do sports?
Yep.
All right.
AM Sports Report brought to you by Hobby Habit. The Traxxas Mini is on sale. This is the Mini Slash. You buy one, you save $70. You buy two, you save $180. That's a heck of a deal. 411 First Street in LeGrand. Hobby Habit, just for the fun of it. Get down there and see Joe and his team. They've done a great job with that store. It's all updated inside. You know, you used to go in there and it felt like kind of dusty and old. It doesn't feel like that anymore. Hobby Habit, yeah, Joe's done a great job. LHS Baseball had their home opener versus the Dallas on Tuesday night. The Tigers struggled a little bit. They ended up losing 11-2. They host Philomath on Friday at 5 p.m. down at Optimus. The JV team, which those are most of the pictures that you just saw, is JV guys because I haven't got to the varsity ones yet. I've been kind of busy. Was victorious versus the Dallas. They host Grant Union on Saturday for a doubleheader that starts at noon down at Optimus. LHS softball went 2-2 in the Dalles last weekend. They had to Lewiston, Idaho on the 9th, so they're off for a week. These pictures, Benny rolled them a little bit early, but these are of the Cove Union softball spring break bash this last weekend. The JV team played in that. There was a lot of small schools down there. I got down there and I took a ton of pics. You can find a lot of them. I mean, I think I posted almost 300 on our social media in the last week, so check it out. LHS tennis is at home today versus Mac High at 3 p.m. I think it's today. Yeah, today's Thursday. Yep. LHS golf is at the Eagle Crest Scramble today, while the girls, that's the boys. The girls are in Crook County for the Crook County Invite today and the White Buffalo Scramble tomorrow. LHS Track is in Pendleton tomorrow for the Buck Track Classic. Their only home meet of the whole season is next weekend, next Saturday at 11. So if you don't have anything going on, get out there and support these kids. It's their only time they're going to run, jump, and whatever else you do, throw in track this year at home. EOU softball's moved down to number 4 in the national rankings with the bye week for conference, and after losing 2-4 to College of Idaho the week before. They go to Portland this weekend to take on Warner Pack, and I'm not worried about it. I think they're going to be fine. I mainly agree with the voting. I mean, I don't know that we should have moved all the way down to 4, but OIT moved up to number 1, who's also in the CCC, and they lost this last week to Corbin. So I don't know how you lose and move up, but it is what it is. Still 3 teams in the top 5 for the CCC, which is quite amazing. EOU Track and Field's at the Whitworth Peace Meet this weekend. Liz Grandel was named the CCC Field Athlete of the Week after last weekend's dominant performance in the heptathlon at the Pacific Multis, where she posted the highest score of the heptathlon this year so far in the NAIA. So that's pretty exciting. She's coming off an injury, and she's been on my show before. She's a remarkable athlete. The heptathlon is probably the toughest thing to do in track. I mean, it's either that or the 800, one or the other. EOU baseball got 1 out of 4 technically over the weekend versus Klamath Falls in OIT. They go to Eugene this weekend for a 4-game series with Bushnell. EOU women's lacrosse is off this weekend after getting back from Florida. I think they have 3 games left, so 3 games left in the history of women's lacrosse at EOU. And we still haven't found out if they're going to replace that sport. I think under Title IX they have to, I would imagine. But they haven't said anything about what would possibly replace it, and so we'll just have to sit and wait. I put out a thing on social media a few weeks ago asking what people would like to see, and the overwhelming response was beach volleyball and golf, one or the other. And I like both of those, actually. I think those are both great ideas. We have 6 CCC teams that have beach volleyball, so I mean, that's a no-brainer in my eyes. I would say beach volleyball would be a great addition to EOU athletics. And finally, on April 11th from 10 to 6th and the 12th from 12 to 4, EOU Navigators Club will be hosting a collectible card show in the Hoke Union building to benefit the EOU Food Bank. Entry fee is $1. And then it's $25 if you want a table to sell stuff and, all that. You can contact Chad McDonald for more info at 541-910-7045. AM Sports Report brought to you by Hobby Habit, just for the fun of it.
Good stuff, man. Thank you very much. All right, let's take a look outside, Benny. And look at the sun's breaking through a little bit. And this morning was just a little bit of snow on the mountain still, rained a little
Crazy.
bit
There wasn't
overnight.
snow on the mountain for a month and a half.
Yeah.
No.
Yeah, but it's no, it's pretty. It's beautiful out there.
I would imagine it's going to rain today.
Well, let's find out. Let's look at that weather graphic. So, oh, you found a new graphic. Thank
What's
you.
that percentage? Still can't see it though from here.
So 46, 27 tonight. It's gonna be below freezing tonight again. That's crazy.
91% chance of precipitation.
Today, yeah. And then
raining.
tomorrow up to 60, 26 at night. Yeah.
But then it drops to 0. It goes 0 for the weekend.
So Easter Sunday, be 71, partly cloudy. So
That's what I'm talking about.
yeah, so looks like it's gonna warm up and clear up over the weekend. So good stuff. All right. Hey, glad you guys are here with us, and we're gonna take a quick break, and we'll be right back with George Mendoza, LeGrand School Superintendent. All right, we're back with George Mendoza. How are you, man?
Always good. Always
Yeah.
good to see you. Hi, Brent. Dodzy. Good morning.
Good to see you. Yeah, I'm trying to think. I think you and I had a meeting a couple of like a month ago or so. But have you been? Is this the first time you've been on this year, or were you in January?
I think I was on in January.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, well, how's it going, man?
Going well, relatively well. Just school year's going fast. Things are
Almost
happening.
over.
Things are happening with budgets. Things are happening with negotiations. Things are taking place that generally happen around this time of year, and we're getting through it.
Yeah. And you and I talked a little bit offline about a month ago about just some of the budget challenges. I mean, talk to me a little bit about that. And I think you probably should start with a little bit how local schools are funded.
Yeah.
And how, yeah.
Well, I would just say, we are funded by the state, and it's tied to enrollment. So our reality is over 5 years, we've lost around 330 students in enrollment. Lots of communities, lots of school districts have lost enrollment. Generally, the state of Oregon now has lost about 40,000 students since COVID.
And
Our
part of
district-
them never came back from COVID. Is
Either
that,
didn't come back, more homeschool, or
Yeah.
more online, or people leaving the state, or birth decline. So all of that has been taking place nationally. Over 1 million of lost enrollment too since that time period. So people aren't going to public schools as much, or at least a reduction has taken place, and LeGrand is experiencing that. There are very few communities that have sustained or maintained or grown in their enrollment, but the reality is a majority have either diminished or decreased over time, and we're in that and like I said, part of it too is declining birth rate. So that's been happening.
And I've heard that a number of, I didn't realize that, but whatever the birth rate 18 years ago or 16 or whatever it was, I mean, just generally, that where is that bubble? Do we know? I mean, is it everybody who's at school right now?
No, but it's
yeah.
been happening over time. So these
Yeah.
are things that, just if you think about it, over time people are having less children. I think the cost of living is a concern for people. The cost of buying a house, the cost of having children is what young couples sometimes talk about or think about. And it's making it harder and harder for people to make those decisions to have one child, two children, three children, and so on. And so over time, declining enrollment with declining birth rate usually creates sometimes 5% reductions for that class. Even now with our kindergarten, there was a time when we were getting 160, 170 students kindergarten. Now we're getting about 120. So that right there is like 2 classrooms worth of teachers that we wind up reducing in terms of enrollment. So just things like that are taking place and have been taking place. And then what happens for us is we get less state fund because, again, funding is tied to enrollment. And so when enrollment declines, funding declines. And then when you have staff costs or PERS costs and all these other costs, you've got to figure out how to keep paying those costs. And sometimes it means reducing your staff or reducing some programs and reducing some services because those costs you've already agreed to are there. And you got to figure out how to make it all work.
So, I mean, this would keep me up at night if I was you.
It does.
Yeah.
It does. I usually think of like I can find a path and I can find a way. And I would say, in our school district, we didn't make any drastic reductions for quite some time. And if you kind of Google search, you're going to find many school districts in Oregon or many school districts in other states that have had to either close schools or reduce staff or make a variety of other budget reductions. And it's taken us a while to get there for us, but we're there now. Like now I have to make reductions based on the funding that we're getting. And I'm having to reconcile that with our board or reconcile that with our teachers and staff and make those reductions, and it's frustrating.
So how do you do that in the school district? I mean, what I mean is, so
Yeah.
you have your people under
Yeah.
you that are in part. So then, and you can see that deficit coming.
Yeah.
Do you, as a staff, say, "Hey, this is a real need, and this is kind of the plan that I think," or does that come from the board, or is it both?
No,
I mean, how does that work? Yeah.
Board does get updates, and they do also share perspectives, or they indicate what they would like to see or what they would like to make sure we maintain. But strategically, throughout years, it's called natural attrition. I make decisions like if Dodzy was to leave, am I going to replace Dodzy's position? Am I going to reassign staff to cover Dodzy's position and give them kind of more duties or more assignments? Or am I going to not, basically just let all of that go, let all of that program or all of that service go? And so I wind up doing that along the way. Natural attrition, sometimes when you have enough staff, it's probably an easy way to make reductions because that reduces costs in perpetuity when you're not sustaining that position. And if you can reassign, and then there's times I restructure the organization or restructure things. So schools can restructure how classes are being held and how things are being done, or the district can restructure things, and I do that naturally. And then, but you get to a point where, whether it's replacement, reassignment, or restructuring, you have to say, like, we're just to this point, we got to make cuts. And then we'll still restructure and we'll still reassign, but now we're going to do layoffs or furloughs, or we're going to, do involuntary transfers. And that to me is a frustrating thing that happens. You wind up knowing, like I know well in advance how much money we have. I'm always aware of how much money we have, how much money we're expending, how much money we're getting in. And when I see that we're getting this much money, I'll say, but we have this much expense, I got to figure out how to balance that budget. Or I got to figure out how to reduce us in a way where it makes sense for the organization to pay all of our debts. And I wind up talking to our business office, getting those kinds of updates, and then I wind up talking to the principals, and then I share with them where we're at, and then I say, what do you think? What do you think about in your building are things that we can reduce? What assignments? How can we restructure things? What do you think is easiest for you or best for the school? And I usually think of like the greater good and what's best for the greater good. And when you have classrooms sometimes that have 5 students, 6 students, you are thinking, okay, you got a teacher, 5 students. That's not as strong from a business perspective return on investment.
Yeah.
What bothers me is these 5 students have needs. They're beautiful, they're wonderful, and we got to figure out. But then these 5 students get returned to a gen ed setting or a different setting, and then you have to figure out like that. So it's frustrating because you wish you just had enough money to be able to keep what you have. And when you think of a car, I might be a bad analogy, but I think of like I like our car or I like our truck.
Right.
It's a really good truck. It gets us to a lot of places, and it's very effective. And we've had a lot of great results with the truck that we have. But then when you take away parts of the truck, you're in this like.
Yeah.
I really like.
It's kind of hard to drive with
I
only
like
3
my
wheels.
4-wheel drive. It got or I like the tires that we had. They were really great tires. And these are little things that you start to break down,
Right.
and it's just it hurts.
It hurts.
It hurts me, but because I have to keep thinking of the path that's the best path for us, long term, intermediate, long term, I wind up accepting the reality and then just doing what I need to do.
Yeah.
Which is still annoying, but you have to make sure that the greater good of everyone is being supported or being met.
Right, and I totally relate with that because as you're leading this crew, at the end of the day, you've got a deficit you're trying to take care of,
Yeah.
and you have no choice whether, it has to be dealt with.
There's
in
no
some
fancy way of getting around it.
Right.
There's no explaining around it. There's only
Right.
doing things that make the reductions necessary so that all the other things that need to happen can happen, and all the payments that need to be met are met.
Right. Well, and at the end of the day, if you have somebody that is experiencing pain from that in some manner, they're being moved around or whatever
Yeah.
it might be, you can explain to them all day and help them understand, and they can go, okay, I got it, I understand, but they still walk away like,
You mess with
Man,
me.
this
Yeah.
hurts.
Yeah, you
Yeah.
mess with my life, or my life has
yeah,
been changed.
yeah,
And I hurt for people, and I sometimes have that. It's the worst part of my job, I
right,
think. And I don't want to mess with your life, or I don't
Right.
want to hurt you. I want you to thrive. I want you to be happy. I want
Right.
you to have your needs met. I want you, to have your own personal choice and your own personal values validated, and for you to go in the direction that you want as a human. Like I like that kind of stuff. So personal choice, personal freedom, pursuit of happiness is usually, I want that for people. And then when I have to alter that, it bothers me because I don't like it if people were to bother my personal choice or my personal freedoms or my
Yeah.
personal happiness as well. But there's no way getting around it sometimes.
right, and all of these people, they do what they're doing because it's meaningful for them.
Yeah.
There's something in them that's attached emotionally to what it is that
Yeah.
they're doing, and you're dislodging that. And
Yeah.
yeah,
So it's hard. People might think that it's easy or simple, but it's hard on the organization. It's hard on staff. It's hard on the person that's delivering the news sometimes. It's an annoying process.
yeah. So talk to me about PERS, because you and I talked about this.
Yes.
And because that's one of the, and I had no idea. In fact, I went home after that day. We talked about it and was explaining it to Tanya, and she was as puzzled as what I was when
Yeah.
So again, give me a little bit of a bigger picture and then
Yeah.
boil that down to us.
If I can make it pretty simple, it's our pension system, and it's the agreement that our states made long ago to be able to pay people that put into the public employees retirement system. So a variety of state positions. I don't care if it's teachers or if it's people that work in the city or police or fire and so on.
Even some counties.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So even
county
so
employees.
you put in money, and then there's promises like after 30 years you get so and so amount of dollars in retirement, and the reality is that there's an unfunded actuarial liability, and what happens is they have these actuarians that wind up looking at what PERS has in the system versus the expenditures that it has to put out based on the people in the system, and then they tell you at times if you're good or if the rate needs to change. Well, the rate needed to change for many locations. Our rate had to change by about 4.5% this last year, and that created an increase of us contributing $750,000 a year in that rate change. It might have been almost 5% what our rate change was, but either way, 750 more, just like that, I have to give to PERS from the state school fund that I receive. And so what I was telling you is like there are school districts now giving 20 cents on the dollar. So when I get whatever my state school fund is, PERS says, give me my money.
Yeah.
And I have to say, well, here's 20% of the 100% that I received. So now I really only have 80% to work with to fund our school. The same thing happens with unemployment or any other kind of tax that we have to give to. So school districts are sometimes now in this like 33% of every dollar, 33 cents of every dollar goes to all of these unfunded mandate type things that we're mandated to give money towards, but it's not even going towards staffing yet, or it's not going towards transportation, or it's not going towards instructional services. So now we really are only getting funded like 67% of what the state said you're supposed to get. So that kind of stuff is happening, and then in 2 years, the PERS rates are, because it's based on how much money people also give in raises or things that they offer to their staff to stay or to just keep advancing. Well, because that more money paying to people means more money you have to give to PERS, because someday they're going to retire and they need to collect on that money. And so then again, it raises your PERS rates. So it kind of gobbles up things too from that way. So a raise to DODSI also means I have to increase my PERS rate, funding to PERS. And then in 2 years, they say, you're going to go up by 9%, which is what they've told us, a variety of other districts. So that then becomes another $1 million or $1.5 million increase of what I owe to PERS each year. So it's just this thing where we need PERS reform is what I'm starting to say, because the state really says too, like it's the district that has to pay. And when we say unfunded actuarial liability, I'm paying for any employee that LeGrand has had or the state has had that they need resources, and they're not even working for LeGrand anymore. They're not doing things for LeGrand, or maybe they never were. But because the system needs that much money, the system says we need this much, and this is how you're impacted. And so it's becoming this thing where I think we've got to fix it, or we've got to infuse a lot of money into PERS for their unfunded actuarial liability, so that gap is very small for districts, and then you can continue to operate the way you were operating. Right now, it's starting to be kind of like a black hole, kind of sucking things from you.
Well, and I think a lot of states are suffering from this. I mean, they're all dealing with it in some manner.
Yeah.
I mean, I would imagine that somebody originally said, hey, let's just take some of your money as you're working and let's invest it, and then it's going to grow, and then it'll be enough to pay what it is that we said we want to give you.
Yes.
Okay. But that didn't work out. We made the promise, and now we've got to fund it somehow.
Yes.
And the only way we can fund it is essentially by giving you less than what we gave you last year.
Or giving you what you got and then saying we're taking more.
Right. Oh, yeah.
We're taking more than we took last year, because that's what's happening.
Right.
They're basically saying, you owe 5% more, that's $750,000 more. Give us $750,000 more until we say so, and then they do the next biennium review, and then they basically say, well, it's getting worse. Now we want 9% more on top of that 5% more that we did 2 years ago, and now give us $1.5 million more.
Right.
Aren't most of the tier ones gone now, though?
But tier one is who gets the money.
Oh, right now.
Yeah. And because they made errors in that calculation, there's a lot of tier one people that get 80 to 100%, or even 110% of what they earned when they left, when they retired.
Holy
so
cow.
That system, and I do sometimes tell people, so I'm going to say it this way: a retirement system typically is meant to give you 50% of what you earned at your highest 3 years. And if you have annuities, those annuities can give you that 30%. So it's basically funding almost 80% with your annuities and your pension of what you were earning at your final 3 years. Our PERS Tier 1 folks are in the 80 to 100 to 110 to 115
Oh, yeah.
in being in retirement. So we're paying them far more than they ever put into the system, or far more than they ever earned as an employee.
There's a lot of university coaches from like the 90s
Yeah.
and early 2000s that are making more than they made when they were coaching.
Yeah.
Like, and we're talking millions. Like
Well,
Bellotti at
yeah.
University of Oregon when he
Yeah.
was the AD.
So yeah.
It's crazy.
So we got this going on.
Well, and you can't blame. I mean, there are times that I hear people's like, well, I mean, like in the county commissioner race right now, it's like people like, I can't believe that they're willing to take $80,000 a year, or whatever it might be, and it's like, well, it's a job and it's being offered, and it's funny to me that sometimes those people that are critical of that are enjoying the peers benefits also. And the point of that is just that you can't blame somebody for taking an opportunity that is offered to them.
Yeah.
I mean, that's just good sense,
No, I agree.
Yeah.
I mean, it's
It's not their fault.
well, yeah.
It's a systematic problem.
Yeah.
And if you, hey, here's $100,000 or here's 50, which would you rather have?
Right.
It's just, like you said, it's going to be hard for somebody to say, like, I have enough. I have plenty. 50,000 is, I'm good. They're going to say they want and it's the same thing in negotiations, by the way. If I say, we have, I'll just say $1.5 million. And then, but I can go as high as 1.8. What are you going to think?
Yeah.
You're going to think, well, give me the 1.8 instead. Why would I take the 1.5?
Yeah.
So it's just hard to fathom when people have choices, they're going to choose the best choice typically for them long term.
But you can't tell them now. Like, you can't go. The state
They
wouldn't be
can't
able to say
unravel it.
right now.
Yeah.
Well, so what do you do?
You fund them until
Ask.
they die.
You do PERS rate increases.
Yeah. Right.
You ask
Yeah, but-
5% more, and then you ask for 9% more
Yeah.
Yeah.
until it's covered.
But-
And you do that until people die off and they're paying less.
Start just knocking people
Well,
off.
it's just a system.
know, we
Or
can't make budget.
the state raises revenues somehow. It creates a tax system. It does different things. It spends less here, spends more there. To me, sometimes I think if you've got billions of dollars, you need to infuse those billions of dollars into that system so that it reduces the liability for everybody else. So then that money is being utilized to pay off that debt. But the reality is, I wind up saying these little things. We don't tax a lot people that visit or do tourism here. They get to enjoy and buy and experience lots of great things here, which I like too. But we leave billions of dollars off the table relative to other states in how we don't tax tourism or visitors in our state. And not that I want more, but I'd say take away property taxes or significantly reduce property taxes. Said it the wrong way. Reduce property taxes, reduce income taxes, create some kind of small sales tax that is smart, study 3 or 4 other states that are doing it so that we understand based on our population, based on our regions, based on how much money we could gain, and then make a decision, but then implement it fairly and adequately, methodically, and you probably can generate billions of dollars more to solve some of the problems that we have.
Just on people coming in and buying stuff.
Or don't do anything, right? But the reality is, like, when you have financial problems, you either got to make cuts or reductions, or you got to create revenue. And it should probably be a little bit of both. But thinking that not creating revenue, it should be off the table, I wind up thinking, like, no.
It's not sustainable.
Yeah, you have to create revenue.
So, and real quick, so just, we're talking about funding. So tell me how teachers, staff are paid for, and then how buildings are paid for, and why do we need a bond? I mean, we talked about this 100 times, but
Yeah.
but again, just help people
So
get this
just-
global picture.
So state school fund generated by students, so student enrollment.
Okay.
And in our state school fund, when we get student enrollment, you have, they call it calculators or additional weighted indicators,
Yeah,
and so
based on like
you have
how much the family makes.
well, no,
Right.
yeah, but so poverty, if that poverty is a weighted indicator of you get 0.25 more based on poverty, and they use like the U.S. Census Bureau, so it's not necessarily the best model. Direct certification, like DHS, and doing direct certification of people that receive WIC services or TANF services or other types of services is sometimes a better model. So then you really know people that are in poverty in your community. When you do a big census bureau, they like send a few surveys out, and then only the people that complete the surveys, and so that has a plus or minus a statistical accuracy of about 30%, 15 here, 15 here. Usually it's not good.
No.
So, but we do that for weighted funds, by the way, which is not a great measure. I'd rather it be a direct certification. So you got weighted funds, you got special ed funds, you got ELL funds, plus you got your student, your normal student rate weighting. That's what gives us money for us to operate. Then you have sometimes federal funds, title funds that you get, special education funds that you get from the national government or U.S. Department of Education, which is on the decline, by the way. Just so you're aware, if anything, our federal government wants to take away the U.S. Department of Education, and they want to take away some of the grants. They even talked about taking away Title III, which is ELL and migrant programs, and then also reducing the amount of funds that's given towards teacher professional development. So I'm not seeing the federal government saying, we want to give you more.
No.
They're like, we want to just break you apart a little bit.
No, they wanted to build a $400 million ballroom.
So that's happening too. And then our state also is not as strong as it was in its economy. So it's about a $300 million deficit right now. So they're not thinking like, I'm going to give you more. They're just thinking like, how are we going to figure out how to fill this $300 million gap and then still take care of everybody? So we've got our issues, but back to everything, state school fund based on enrollment is your number one way that you get funding. I think you had a second part to that question.
Well, it's just then how do we pay for buildings?
Okay, bonds,
Okay.
for us, bonds pay for buildings. So
Okay,
you
because
put it out to the
because
public.
that money that you're getting from the state is to teach kids. That's to take care of.
Yeah.
Okay, yeah.
So that's for instructional services.
Okay, right.
Instructional programs, instructional services, anything that you do with food, right? Anything that you do with
Right.
transportation, anything that you do with sports or athletics or
Yeah.
holistic things.
Yeah. So
that-
facilities.
boom. Facilities, bonds. And it's us asking the public, would you be okay if we, have a building for our middle school students? Would you be okay? And then how will we pay for it? Well, it'll take us 20 years to pay it off, and we estimate that the cost will be around, for now, and I'll just say in today's world, $40 million to build a new middle school.
Yeah.
Maybe it might be $50 million, and we'll have to make that decision of would you support that or not? Basically, you give all your reasons why it's important. You talk about the rationale behind it. You talk about all the good that it would do, and then the voters have to decide if that's a good thing for the community to have for its students or its families or its citizens. And then levies, which we haven't done in LeGrand in my time, levies are for learning as well. So levies can help for instructional programs or instructional services. Levies can help pay for books, but we haven't had a levy.
Okay.
And I don't think I'm going to put it out to the public like, would you support a PERS levy for us? Would you support would you support, I mean, even if, would you support an athletic levy? Would you support a levy for us where I ask $1 million a year for you?
Yeah.
For you, $5 million over 5 years? Because I just would say that I don't think it would get a lot of support.
Well, I mean, there's essentially athletic levies all the time. Because not a levy in the sense, but there's constantly people fundraising. Constantly.
Oh, yeah.
It
It has to be.
Yeah, it's
For
crazy.
That's another thing I wind up saying in our school district. We spend over $700, it might be $800,000 a year on all of our athletics and activities. Transportation costs a lot of money.
Yeah.
Anyway, long story short, and coaching salaries now over $200,000, $225,000 just for coaches, let alone the transportation, let alone the officials.
Yeah.
So my point in all of that is it just costs a lot of money. And then when I say we don't really have a lot, they wind up saying we're going to fundraise to go on these special trips or to go and do these special things because we have enough money to do some stuff in the state.
Yeah.
But when people really want to travel and do faraway things,
Yeah.
we don't have the money.
We didn't do any of that when I was in school.
Yeah.
No, that was unheard
So
of.
we've taken the position of if you really want to do, I'm going to call it extravagant things,
Yeah.
you have to have the money to pay for your extravagant things. Because our truck, again, it's kind of a nice truck. It's a basic truck.
Yeah.
It's not a really fancy truck that has all the, like, we just have this model. And now I'm breaking it apart, which
Right.
again bothers me.
Yeah. So just to sum that up, so generally the state says, here's money to educate kids. It's your jobs locally to figure out where they're going to sit, where they're going to be, what facilities they're, I mean, is that kind of...
For the
roughly?
most part,
Yeah.
although I would say nowadays the state is now getting to a point where they're doing this thing called PBAM updates, which is like I'll just call it Public Business Administration Manual changes with their coding, so they want to see more transparency of how dollars get spent. Although I would say we have our budget meetings, and then we have a budget committee, and then we have a board approve the way our budget is being expended or spent out. Now the state is saying, like, well, we're giving you all this money. How are you spending it on ELL? How are you? And then and my point is, like, well, we're giving you our budget book. We're giving you what's been approved by our board. This helps you to know how much we're doing. Just use that. But the state is in this, like, no, we're not seeing this. They're not seeing the achievement rates. They're not seeing the graduation rates, or they're not seeing the things that they want to see with the investments that they're putting in. So they're saying, we want more reports, which at the end of the day, I understand some of that logic, right? Because I think accountability is great. But the reality, too, is when you make laws that are saying, hey, you can opt out of state testing, well, they are opting out of state testing, and then you're seeing less participation, and then you're seeing
And then
data
that's their measure.
that's flawed. Yeah, data that's flawed. And then you're holding us to a standard saying, hey, you're supposed to get better scores. And again, you're like, well, back to a football analogy, when you're telling me to coach the kids and you're telling me to teach them how to tackle, teach them how to throw, teach them how to catch, teach them how to block, teach them how to get first downs, teach them how to get touchdowns, teach them how to win, and then you say, but you don't have to play. You don't have to play in this game.
Yeah.
And then
You
what do you
have
think
to
the
play
kids are
it too much.
doing? You're like they're not going to play in that game. And then you're going to get mad at the coach.
Right.
And you're going to get mad at the team. And then you're going to say you're a bad coach or you're a bad team when you just created a rule that said you don't have to play.
Right.
So you're doing these things where you just create, I'm going to call it dumb rules, and you think it's going to make us better, but instead it just crumbles us.
Yeah.
So it's that is what's happening sometimes with accountability and with decision making. Some of it, of course, I don't mind being accountable. I love holding people accountable too. But we have to make rules that are all aligned similarly towards growth. And we have rules that say this and then rules that say that, and then you have this gap, and then you're saying, why is this happening? You're like, well, you just made this rule, but you want this outcome.
Yeah.
It doesn't work.
It's like I liken it to like surveys. Like people are always talking about data, right? Like unless you're actually like involved and talking, you know what I mean? Like you can't rely on like I see the numbers that come out about kids in our community, right? With like the Union County Safe what's that called?
Safe
You're on
Communities.
it, yeah. And those numbers are not right. They're just handing out a survey to some people. Like I want to see like real raw. You know what I mean? Like, and you can't achieve it if you're letting people opt out. That's for sure.
Yeah. I'm not on the Safe Counties or Safe Communities Coalition.
I
Scott
thought
might
you
be.
used to be.
I'm going to one of their board meetings soon. So, yeah.
Yeah, I'm not on it. But yeah.
Well, hey, so have you follow on the Facebook comments? Somebody had a question for George there.
I don't see nothing.
This is from Ginger Taylor. It says, with enrollment down, how do you justify having an assistant superintendent? Historically, that is a position that isn't a position that we've had before, I think is what they're saying. Yeah.
I think it's a great question. I would just say Scott Carpenter is the assistant superintendent, but he's doing a lot of the things that he was doing before. So he's the director of curriculum and instruction for our school district. So when you think of K-12 instructional services, that is Scott. And then he also does title programs, ELL programs, migrant services for our school district. So he does federal programs, and he does curriculum and instruction. And then he sometimes helps me with HR issues. And we had that position before as a director of curriculum and instruction. I just changed the title because I gave him more responsibilities. I'm also the superintendent, but I'm also the HR director in our school district. I'm also the transportation director or the transportation liaison with Midco. I'm the person that they go to when we have issues with transportation. I'm also the superintendent.
But
So
a lot
you
of
have all
districts
these
have
hats.
those positions, right? Like have
Well, yeah,
in those
but
positions.
and sometimes these assistant superintendents have people under them that like they still have a curriculum instruction person and they have like a title programs person or they have a student service program.
Yeah.
Well, Scott is pretty much all those things with the title of assistant superintendent. So he's really, we haven't added a position. I changed a title because I gave him more
Well,
responsibilities.
because he deserved it.
And because I wanted, the other part for me sometimes is I also want our principals or our teachers that when he says something, it's seen as the assistant superintendent is saying those things, not a director of a program.
Right.
I want, and he's that talented, he's that deserving, and it helps us to be more efficient.
Yeah.
That's a great question.
Yeah. Good. Well, and
No one's ever asked that to me.
yeah. Well, here you go. Yeah, that's the
Well,
reason.
it's good for the public to know
Yeah.
that.
That's
because
right, yeah.
We didn't add,
obviously, they assumed
Yeah,
that
we
it
didn't-
was
yeah.
just a position that was created,
No.
but it's not.
No, and the name title did change.
Yeah. But there are times that, I mean, this happens in every organization. It's like, I can't necessarily, I'm going to give you more responsibility. I can't give you a pay raise, but hey, we'll change your title. Now, I don't know that's exactly how it was.
Well, or
but
I could
still.
try to add another position. I can add another position, and but
Yeah.
when you have a talented person
Right.
who can do a lot, you're just kind of like, I'll change your title. And I've given him a different raise. I put him into, I'll just call it an assistant superintendent contract, but I'll just say it might be 20,000 more total than he would have ever earned under just a curriculum and instruction director.
Yeah.
But the reality is, like, I could have added another position or two positions when he can already do all these things.
Right.
It's a cost savings.
Yeah. Just,
Plus I want him, if that makes sense. I
No.
need him. I don't want him to go anywhere else.
right.
This district is far better with him in our school district than for us to lose him.
Right. And that totally makes sense.
Yeah.
So let's talk about sports. Yeah.
Well,
Brag a little bit. Yeah.
Well, did we talk about? I don't know if we talked about wrestling or the girls wrestling program winning their third state title in a row, but that was.
I think that was right. It had happened right before the last time you were on, but
So
that was pretty cool.
yeah, I loved it, and of course our boys wrestling team third place. I'm proud of them. They've got a great machine. I would just say that's the kind of stuff where you get kids from kindergarten on up starting to get support and coaching and experiences, and it shows up. It shows up in our competitions, and great parents and great kids and great coaches working together. Our high school wrestling program for our girls too. They put in a lot of work. They put in a lot of time, and you notice that. And again, it pays off. Our boys basketball team was
the surprise team of the year.
that was
right
a
there.
very I knew they were pretty good and
I
pretty
did too,
talented.
yeah.
But they started to play
Different
like
level.
a team. Yeah, was really strong on defense. Really great at just kind of working together, communicating, but then also running their offensive sets pretty well, and a lot of trust, a lot of cohesion, a lot of belief, a lot of a mentality of like we can win, we're in this thing. They were fun to watch towards the end.
So regarding basketball, I have a question for you about that. So does OSAA oversee like the conferences? So like does OSAA oversee GOL?
Yes.
We need, and I know you're on the board, so put this on an agenda somewhere. They need to rework the voting for all conference and coach of the year.
Oh,
It
that's
was
not.
a travesty.
I would
this
say
year.
that's not OSAA.
Oh, who is that? That's
GOL.
okay.
So when you think
who
of
runs
like,
the GOL then?
well, it's the athletic directors of the
Wow.
GOL.
So
the
how
athletic-
Brooks doesn't get coach of the year in the
So
conference.
so the athletic directors will sometimes invite their coaches to that meeting, and so Brooks was probably not that I know for sure.
Yeah.
Invited to this end of season
Meeting.
GOL meeting
Okay.
where the coaches and the athletic directors talk about like, hey, you know, that George Mendoza was a good athlete, blah, blah, blah. He did really well for your team. He scored 23 points a game, whatever. He got these rebounds. He did this. We think he's a really good guy. What do you think? Oh, yeah, he's really good. You know,
Well, I
first
thought it
team,
was.
second
I thought
team,
it was
third
pretty
team.
spot on player wise. But I mean, in a league that historically gives Coach of the Year to the coach
Top.
that wins the conference, gives it to somebody that went 4-20.
Yeah, that surprises me.
And it's Brooks has never won it.
That
It
surprises me.
was,
Who got Coach Kevin to tell him?
yes.
4-20.
He went 4-20. He went. Oh, he didn't win a game in the conference. And,
And I like
he's a
Kevin
great
a lot.
guy.
Yeah,
He's a great
you
coach. But historically, that
I'm
award
going to
goes
say
to.
you had to be in that room.
Oh,
You
let
probably-
me in that room.
You had to be. I wouldn't. I'm not in that room. I would say from a data standpoint or an outcome standpoint.
Yeah. Which is how it's historically been
Yeah.
given out.
Yeah. So Darren probably was in that room. Sean might have been in that room.
I'm gonna put a earpiece in Darren's ear.
And sometimes there's benevolence, or sometimes there's
Yeah. There's
he's put in this
politics.
much time, he's put in the blah blah blah, all that stuff, and it might not be what you think it should be from the outside looking in, but
Well,
yeah,
but as
Sean to me, for me, he would be my coach of the year.
Well, so as somebody that cares about the GOL, cares about LeGrand, cares about how it all works, for me, it was like it's a slap in the face.
Yeah.
The dude's
So-
never won it. He's
Yeah.
never had a team
So
good enough.
so OSAA has nothing to do.
They don't
with,
oversee that.
They oversee officiating. You know, they oversee following rules with I'll just say with the sport and
Right.
making sure that we adhere to all the rules for transfers or adhere all the rules for grades and being able to play.
disciplinary,
You know, all of that.
yep.
But they do not do GOL. I'll just call it season scheduling. The athletic directors do their scheduling for in-season and off-season or out-of-season or I'll just say out-of-league games too. And they also have their conference and end of conference meetings, and it's run by the athletic directors. And then they invite coaches typically at that time point, and then they make their decisions as because they're the most involved and they're the most knowledgeable about the athletes and the coaches.
Right.
And the coaches have a good say on who's in the first team league or second team
I
league.
thought they did a pretty good job with that
Yeah.
for basketball.
GOL, or if anything, OSA is trying to get into All-State and really getting feedback, but even that's not something that
Gotcha.
OSA they wind up doing more of the All-State based on the championships that took place in front of them for like first team in the state tournament, second team in the state tournament, but if there is interest sometimes of like, who is a first team All-State football player
Right.
or basketball player?
So while we're talking sports, and I got you in here, I have another question. Where do you stand on the movement of the wrestling tournament?
Oh, of the girls wrestling
I think we
moving
need
to the beginning?
No,
to-
I think we need to move it to Central Oregon. I think it
Oh,
needs to
girls
get out
state?
of Portland.
Yeah.
I think state needs to get out of Portland.
I haven't had any. I mean, would I be open to that? Probably. Do I like it the way it exists? Whenever I go there, I like seeing the 1 through 4A boys and the 1 through 4A girls in the same building and watching that myself. But what it has caused is a 5A, 6A boys, 5A, 6A girls,
Separation.
different date,
Yep.
different time. But I like everybody having to go to Portland. I would be fine if we went because what would happen, what you're saying to me logically, is if you did the girls in Redmond, Central Oregon,
Yeah,
and then
at the fairgrounds.
yeah, then you try to put all the girls, separate location, separate venue, separate experience, and you have the boys over in Portland. People will complain that one is getting this experience in a really nice modernized, facility, blah blah blah. One is getting this experience in
I
this
think
location.
they're talking about moving 1 through 4A boys and girls.
So if that was done, you could do that. But then I think people would then say, like, which is a better location or better venue? And you would have to have buy-in basically by the
Yeah.
coaches,
Right.
buy-in from, even the superintendent. And then you would have to make sure that there's enough capacity for all the fans to go to the Redmond area and blah, 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 all the things for the logistics of it. But what I know people like is they like, I'll just call it proportionality or equality or similar experiences.
Yeah. Well, the biggest complaints that I see all over the internet, and it's constant, is the prices of stuff. They don't allow you to bring anything in to that facility, and then the parking in the surrounding area, the crime, the windows getting broken. It's constant. Every year, there's like 4 or 5 people who get their cars broken into, and it's all over the internet. That's the biggest complaints about that area and about that facility.
I would say for me as a board member, right, that's the first where I've heard people complain about broken windows.
Really?
You know,
do you
or
ever
vandal.
look at any of the Oregon sports sites on social media?
Not very much.
Oh.
I mean, I get my reports through what OSA gives you.
I don't
and
think
then
they're
when
going to
they
give
have-
you the bad stuff.
Well, they definitely tell you bad things too.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm in those meetings. They don't say all this good stuff.
I mean, I would say there's probably on a couple of the posts 100 comments from different people.
What they should maybe do, or somebody should do, maybe it's the Eastern Oregon sports people, is send in the information that they have and submit that to the championship. There's a championship committee that looks at all the venues.
Oh, okay.
And they do like, where are we doing volleyball at? What are all the experiences? And almost everybody always wants kids to have kind of a college or more of a professional experience for championship competition. So think like Eugene and Hayward Field
Yeah.
for Oregon Ducks. That's like what they want is they want world-class location or world-class setting, and they want to make sure that they get to have that as a memory or experience. So they want that in football too, or they want that in basketball as
They
well.
must not want it much in basketball. They
Well,
play
it's
at
hard.
Forest Grove High School.
It's hard. I'm going to call it that way. I agree, right? I would rather it be myself in more of a college venue as well.
Yeah, or at Memorial like it used to be.
So you have like Linfield gets the
5A?
5A,
Yeah.
then the Portland area Child Center, whatever, gets the 6A.
Yeah, Portland State.
Then Coos Bay gets the 3A.
Baker
Then
gets 2A.
Baker gets 1A.
Or,
Pendleton
Pendleton
gets
gets
2A. And that also, with smaller schools, they try to regionalize it a little bit differently. But there's a rationale to all of it. But I would say the wrestling one would be
Yeah.
a change, and the only thing I would be advocating is the 4A then getting, or 4A, 1A, 2A, 3A getting a different experience than the 5A, 6A, because we want to make sure that it's almost as good as each other.
Yeah,
That
but
makes
Forest Grove High School is not as good as
No,
the
I meant
Child
back to
Center.
wrestling. But
Yeah.
yeah. And I would just say from a logistical standpoint, the state would say like, because OSU, like during that time of year too, they're in their own basketball
Yeah,
seasons.
and
They're in their own,
wrestling.
yeah.
Yeah,
Every sport too is also operating. So from a logistics standpoint, it's hard for OSAA to like, I'm going to get you Eastern Oregon University for this weekend, and you're going to get, you're going to get
Right.
OSU for this weekend, and that just doesn't work like that. So the logistics is hard, but I think the experiences that you're getting at, I would want the same. I want wow experiences, but it's just hard for it to happen all across the state this weekend at this time, this weekend at that time.
Right. I get that. No doubt.
So let's switch. We only got a couple minutes. Talk to me about negotiations, teachers. You're in the middle of
Not
that?
much I can say except
Yeah.
that I love our teachers. I do love our teachers. I want them to have great things. I love helping them or taking care of them or supporting them. If you knew me, you know me. I don't want people to suffer. I don't want people to have bad experiences. I want them to feel loved, cared, understood, valued, supported. You have to have resources sometimes to do that really well. And if you don't have resources, it's harder to do that.
Mm-hmm.
And so to me, it's a lot of listening and trying to understand and seeing what you can do. But we have finite resources, so I can't meet sometimes requests
Yeah.
because I just don't have the resources to do that.
Are you in the middle of that right now?
Yeah.
And then how long when you do a contract with teacher, how long does that go?
It could be 1 year to 3 years. Some
Okay,
people even
that's
get
all a part of the negotiation.
Yeah.
Okay.
Some people get up to 5 years, I think, on language, different things.
Yeah.
all I can tell you is I want to help. I want to love them and take care of them and support them. It's a hard job. People don't. I mean, I think people also think it's an easy job.
No, it's
Today's child and even today's family have a variety of needs, and teachers are feeling the pressure of that.
yeah,
So
absolutely.
it makes it very hard if kids are hard, or if support isn't as strong,
Yeah,
and if the work is very challenging, and getting kids to pay attention, to focus, is harder than it used to be too, and behaviors are a little bit bigger than they used to be,
yeah,
and so it makes teachers sometimes not love every day as much as they used to.
yeah,
So we got to keep finding ways to like create purpose, passion, meaning, belonging for kids, but we still got to find ways to like create purpose, passion, meaning, belonging to our teachers too.
yeah. No, they're the frontline workers.
Yeah,
Yeah, at the end of the day.
yeah, we got to love our teachers.
No, it's a, yeah, I want to say thankless job, but I mean, it is very difficult, and so
It's rewarding. It's very rewarding too.
right.
But it is when people aren't going the same direction, it's a lot of work.
Yeah.
For sure.
So before we quit, Ginger, who proposed the question earlier, said, "Thanks for clarifying." And she added, "Scott Carpenter is a great asset to the district."
He is.
And
Thank you for the
Bud
question.
Forrest, thank you for throwing in comments along the way. Appreciate you. So
Oh,
My comments are not auto updating. That's
Yeah.
weird.
Yeah.
Usually they do.
I'm glad you have people, and I'm glad Ginger and Bud
yeah.
send
Well,
in stuff.
and just to remind our audience out there, this is the only platform that there is where they can ask you questions and we'll feed it to you. And yeah. Thanks, George, for being here.
Thank you.
Yeah, it's always a pleasure, and the we could go a long time. So
Yeah,
yeah.
great. Thanks, Brent. Thanks, Dodgy. You guys are wonderful.
Awesome.
Want to guess out here?
Let's do it.
All right.
On this day, April 2nd, 1898, the Spanish-American War, the U.S. Congress on April 25th recognizes that the state of war exists between the United States and Spain, even though the Spanish people declared war on the U.S. today, April 2nd. 1918, German World War fighter ace Baron Manfred von Richthofen, a.k.a. the Red Baron, is shot down and killed over somewhere in France, and Canadian pilot Arthur Roy Brown is credited with the kill. 1995, FBI arrests Timothy McVeigh in the Oklahoma City bombing case. He is indicted on 160 state offenses and 11 federal offenses, including the use of a weapon of mass destruction. 2025, on this day, Pope Francis, head of the Catholic Church since 2013, dies. He's succeeded by Pope Leo XIV. The number one song in America on this day in 1996 is Because You Loved Me by Celine Dion. And the quote of the day comes from C.S. Lewis. Hardships often prepare ordinary people for an extraordinary destiny. One more time. Hardships often prepare ordinary people for an extraordinary destiny.
Awesome. Thanks, George.
Yeah, thank you, George.
Yeah.
You guys, thank you both. That was a great quote.
Yeah. Hey, thank you, guys.
Yep.
Have a good Easter weekend.
See you Tuesday.
Yep.